Hello and welcome back to the Parents Awareness Program PAP. My name is Paul. I saw a very interesting story headlined, "What we are going through in Baltimore right now is torture." And so, of course, I tuned in. It was about the ongoing crime and violence in the city of Baltimore, a big topic in the growing trend of juvenile crimes in the city. Indeed, it was a very interesting discussion among some of the city's leaders. But most interesting was when I heard the blame game begin. There was the pointing of all 10 fingers in various directions and blame at every angle. Everyone and everything in the city were blamed, except, of course, as usual, the parents. The most interesting finger pointing was when some of the businesses were pointed at and literally blamed for some of the city's crime and violence, just because these legitimate businesses were opened in this area to sell food, which the operators sold to children during school hours. A Popeyes eatery was one such business that was flat out blamed by the mayor for a shooting because it was opened at the time of a shooting that happened nearby. This is so ridiculous that it is honestly hilarious. I could not help but to laugh heartily. Mark you, a business like Popeyes is a legitimate tax-paying business that is in the area to offer an important service to a community where in truth many business people do not wish to operate their businesses. So, since a business like Popeyes was mentioned as a reason for at least one crime in the area, simply because it was open at the time of a crime, I will mention that growing up and going to school, there was a shop across the street from my school. It was a hot spot for us to purchase lunch when we chose not to eat at the school's cafeteria or when the cafeteria was closed on Fridays. I cannot remember one incident of crime and violence of any kind. At the end of the lunch period, the students were happy and the business owner was very happy. This ridiculous claim that businesses are contributing to some of the crime and violence in that city just because they are open to offer a service to the community tells me how far some elected leaders are willing to shift the radar away from the root cause of the problem. They are seemingly willing to continue playing the blame game because they are seemingly too afraid to point the finger directly at the source of the problem, lest they interrupt their political game and jeopardize their political votes. A few parents had voiced their frustrations over the ongoing crime and violence in this city, and of course called upon the leaders to act. There were parents who had decided to move to safer neighborhoods with their children. There was one mother in particular who had alluded to the fact that the parents are a part of this crisis because they aren't focusing on their children. And to this I say, Amen. Upon conclusion of the discussion, there was much talk by the individual leaders about the different crime and violence strategies, how and what they planned to do to tackle the problem. One strategy that they were very much excited to announce was their partnership with each other, and that they were all on the same page in tackling the crime and violence problem. I did not hear, however, of the most important and effective partnership, and it's the partnership with the parents. These leaders felt excited because they obviously believed that they were on to a new and effective method of fixing the chronic problem. However, after listening to what everyone had to say, I realized that the problem of crime and violence amongst youths in certain communities will persist. I also realized that no elected leader has the gall to point the finger on one parent and hold them accountable. And so they take all the blame, point the other way, and promise to fix what they all know by now that they cannot fix from the outside without the parents' involvement to fix on the inside. I've heard one of the new leaders, Mr. Ivan Bate, to be specific, vigorously said, and I quote, "We have to do something. Enough is enough." Well, I want to say to Mr. Ivan Bates and all the other leaders of not just Baltimore, but of other cities where juvenile crime is a big problem, that unless the parents decide to do something, take charge of their household, their children, and say to themselves as parents, enough is enough, then they, the elected leaders, cannot do enough to control the youths and get crime and violence under control. All the excitement of those leaders to be working in collaboration, being on the same page with each other in this fight, I will say confidently that without the parents being on the same page and putting in the time and the effort to properly raise their own children, it will only result in leaders after leaders being on the same losing page. Without the parents being a part of the exciting partnership, working in collaboration with the leaders, doing their instrumental part, which only they can do, then the problem will continue to be like a revolving door. The problem will keep going around and around from leaders to leaders. This crime and violence problem amongst the youth is an internal problem, and therefore it must be fixed from within, the inside of the home, by the parents. Parents expecting the leaders and the leaders trying to fix the problem from the outside is like dressing a wound on the outside that is infected deep on the inside. It's important that the inside is cleaned before it is dressed, or else it will continue to worsen under the dressing, as has been evident over the years. That's it for this episode. I will be doing more topics on parenting. So please subscribe to this channel by clicking the red subscribe button below. Also, it would be nice to hear your thoughts on this topic, so please leave a comment. Your inputs are valuable. If this message spoke to you, please hit the like button. It is free to do so. It would also be much appreciated if you share this valuable content with a friend or family member. Thank you for listening. Until next time, parents, make the correct changes.